Ever since I started learning more about gardening, my curiosity about composting has increased. I think it's amazing to be able to use things I would normally just toss in the trash bin, such as vegetable peels, coffee grounds, eggshells, and things I would normally just leave in the yard, such as fall leaves, pine cones, and more that can actually be used to help make my own compost for gardening, or what some call black gold. As some of you know, there are many types of composting methods, and the one that caught my attention was the tumbler composter, since it can produce ready-to-use compost much faster than most stationary compost bins. After looking at a few prices online for tumbler composters, I decided to build my own. I stumbled upon a design from the Family Handyman website that I thought was a nice, robust design. However, to reduce my build costs, I had to modify parts of the design for my application. So in this video, I will show you my process for building a frame to support a wide range of DIY compost tumblers made from rain barrels or other types of food grade barrels. I will also leave the material list and cut dimensions in the description below. Anyway, enough talking, let's start building. The first step was to gather my pressure treated wood I plan to use in this build, since the compost tumbler frame would likely be placed outdoors where it would be exposed to the outdoor elements. I used a speed square to help draw a straight line on my wood, which makes it easier for me to line up my saw blade. Since this project involved cutting a lot of wood pieces the same length, to avoid having to pull out my tape measure each time, I used my saw stops attached to my miter saw stand. Another tip for repetitive cuts is to measure the first piece with a tape measure, and after that piece has been cut, place it on top of the next piece that needs to be cut to the same length, and align the end of it flush with the bottom piece while sliding both pieces toward the saw blade until the saw blade touches the top piece. Next, remove the top piece and then make the cut. To help with the assembly process, I took some extra time to write the length of each wood piece on the part to help speed up the assembly process later. After the straight cuts were completed, I worked on the angle cuts for the rear brace supports and front caster supports. I used a speed square to help draw the 45-degree line on the wood and then adjusted the miter saw to make the necessary cut. If you do not have a miter saw, by the way, you can also use a circular saw, hand saw, or a band saw. After all my wood pieces were cut, it was finally time to start the assembly process. So after I saved the world with my power tools, I used 3-inch deck screws to fasten the frame legs together. Later on, off camera, I added 2 more screws to the opposite side of the legs. Note, my reasoning for attaching 2 2x4s together was to help increase the strength of the frame. Also, I'm not sponsored by anyone in this video, but I highly recommend the quick grip clamps for helping to provide extra holding strength or to give you an extra pair of hands when needed. You will see me use them in various parts of the video. Next, I worked on attaching the side drum deck supports. Also, if you enjoy these videos or find them useful, please smash that like button to help encourage YouTube to share these videos with others who may find it helpful, and it also supports this channel. Next, I attached the 2 rear drum deck supports. Next, I attached the 2 rear braces and used my speed square to try to make sure the frame stayed square, and I used the clamps to help secure the wood braces in place while I screwed them down. Next, I attached the side braces to increase the frame stability. Initially, I wanted to use an X style brace like the rear, but to reduce the overall materials needed, I figured this style support should be fine. Next, I attached the front drum deck supports. The gap in the middle is to allow more access to the compost barrel door hatch and allow the compost in the barrel to be easily dumped into the wheelbarrow. To increase the strength of the front deck, I added angled supports. Next, I sanded the entire frame with a 120 grit sanding disc to get rid of any hard edges that I might find myself touching, as well as giving the older repurposed wood a cleaner look. After the sanding was done, I took some rough estimates for where to add my 3-inch caster wheels for my pickle barrel I plan to use for my tumbler compost barrel. Where you mount your caster wheels will vary depending on what type of barrel you decide to go with, but from my research it seems most people recommend mounting the wheels closer to the end of the barrel where the plastic material is a bit thicker. I used number 9 1 1/2 inch SD connector screws to secure this caster wheels to the frame since I had a few left over from another project, but feel free to use any other exterior grade screws you prefer to use. Once the wheels were mounted, I could finally test the frame with my pickle barrel. In an upcoming video, I will show you my process for converting this barrel into a usable compost barrel, as well as adding additional support to prevent the barrel from tumbling off the frame. So if you have not already and are interested in seeing that process, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss out. And as I usually say, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.